Hi everyone, my name is Nintendom and this is Nintendom Hour. Urban myths in Nintendo games are a fascinating topic to me. Even as a kid, I would look up forum posts about old Pokemon rumors that I already knew were false in hindsight. I just love looking back at times when the internet was less organized and commonly used. People didn't have all the information we would ever need on a game like we do now. Video games were more mysterious because players couldn't immediately find all the secrets online or confirm if a hoax was fake. But anyway, I made an Iceberg chart of interesting, mysterious, or even disturbing Nintendo urban myths and hoaxes, so let's begin. Luigi and Mario 64. Super Mario 64 was a landmark title in 3D gaming, but it also had one glaring omission compared to previous Mario adventures, Luigi, which made many wonder if he was hidden in the game. Fans' attention started to turn to the text on the statue in the castle courtyard, which many read as L is real 2401, with many interpreting the L to stand for Luigi and the 2401 to be some sort of clue to unlocking him. Some rumors ignored the number and just said you needed to collect 120 stars to unlock Luigi. A popular rumor was that 2401 referred to the amount of coins in the entire game, and if you collected all of them, you would unlock Luigi. However, there aren't 2,401 coins in the game, making this unlikely, and of course data mining, the killer of all fun urban myths, proved that his model wasn't even in the game. However, there was another rumor that stated that Paper Mario was released on February 4th, 2001, or 2401, which did have Luigi as an NPC. However, this is untrue, as the game was released on February 5th, 2001. It would be basically impossible for Nintendo to plan Paper Mario's exact release date 5 years before it was released, so this is definitely a coincidence. A supposed but likely true letter from Nintendo of America that someone received stated that the message was placed in the game as a joke to tease players and nothing more. However, on July 25th, 2020, there was a giant Nintendo leak that leaked tons of development materials. One of these was the entire source code for Super Mario 64, which included pieces of Luigi's scrapped model, as multiplayer was originally planned for the game. Luigi's model was finally pieced together by fans. And get this, it was 24 years and 1 month after Super Mario 64's release. Mew under the truck. When Pocket Monsters Red and Green were reaching the end of development, a Pokemon was snuck in the game's code at the last minute, the mysterious Mew. The game's popularity went up due to people wanting to get their hands on it, especially when Coro magazine started a giveaway promotion, increasing sales. This same Mew hysteria spread to the West, where kids would spread rumors on the playground on how to get it. It was one of the first Pokemon in the anime's intro, further teasing players. Some said catching all 150 Pokemon would allow you to get Mew, but the main rumor that spread surrounded a secret truck. See, there's an area that's pretty hard to reach since you need the HM Surf to reach it, but usually you can't reach it by the time you obtain Surf unless you use certain exploits. The truck is real, but some wondered if Mew itself lay waiting under it. Why would the powerful, mystical Mew be under a truck? I don't know, but there were many rumors as to how you can move this truck. Use HM Strength to push the truck. Use HM Cut to cut the tires of the truck, even though I'm pretty sure that would just crush Mew into a bloody mess. But the most interesting rumor to me was the one that suggested this left-behind pair of keys in the game corner would somehow be obtainable, allowing the player to unlock and move the truck. Of course, these rumors all proved untrue, but eventually word started spreading of a genuine glitch that allowed the player to get Mew, and it turned out that one was real. Triforce and Ocarina. The Triforce is a prominent part of the Legend of Zelda series. In The Legend of Zelda for NES, you collected the pieces of the Triforce of Wisdom, and in A Link to the Past, Link eventually obtained the full Triforce. So, when screenshots of Link finding a treasure chest containing the Triforce were shown off before the release of Ocarina of Time, naturally players believed that there was a way of finding the full Triforce. Furthering the rumors was the fact that the Triforce appeared to be grayed out in the pause menu, which many believed meant the Triforce would be there when collected. However, upon progressing in the game, the player only obtains the Triforce of Courage, one of the 3 main pieces. There was eventually a hoax started on the fan site Hyrule the Land of Zelda via a letter sent in by a girl that showed a supposed screenshot of young Link finding the Triforce. She kept sending in letters, teasing the readers as well as the writer on the site, while not stating exactly how to reach it, but kept adding hints on how one could find it. She stated how since the game implies that the owl and Raru the Sage were the same person, it was possible to learn a secret song from him called the Overture of Sages, though she never explained how. She further explained that the player would have to stand in front of the Master Sword as young Link and play the Overture of Sages on the Ocarina. Link would then travel to the Temple of Light and stand in front of the Triforce, though funnily enough would not actually obtain it. Her method was even consistent with the game's lore, since the Triforce wouldn't have yet been divided at that point in the story. But I feel like if you're gonna lie, go all the way, like have Link wish upon the Triforce for a gun or something. However, something happened that would change everything. It turned out that Ariana sucked at using Photoshop. Okay, maybe that's mean, I certainly couldn't fool people the way she did. She sent in new pictures that were impressive with the time, but the fonts were clearly wrong, and the writer on the site noticed that Link's sword was facing the wrong way. Which, okay, I guess I wouldn't have noticed that. Of course, she eventually revealed that it was all a hoax, and there is no evidence that the whole Triforce can be found in Ocarina of Time. Waluigi and Mario 64 DS. Okay, so I don't have a 3DS capture card, so I'm just gonna record my 3DS classic YouTube style. Unlike the original, Super Mario 64 DS featured multiple playable characters: Mario, Yoshi, Luigi, and Wario. Now that Luigi was actually in the game, you might believe that the rumor mill would run dry, but then people started wondering if Waluigi was in the game. There was some evidence suggesting this. Wario was in the game, so it would make sense that Waluigi was too. The room featuring the character doors features an unlabeled fourth door, which many believed would contain Waluigi. Unfortunately, like spoilers for Mario 64 DS, it turned out to just contain a lame power star. But there was hope in the form of a screenshot from the game's instruction manual, which showed a purple rabbit, which led many to believe it would lead to finding Waluigi. But of course, there was the infamous Purple Prizes post. DeviantArt user King Bowser Koopa posted a supposed magazine scan labeled Purple Prizes, which gave the vague hint of, "Find all the stars and be the fastest foot racer in the land. Afterwards, a secret switch will reveal my door. All that remains is a challenge from the Rabbit King for its key." It came complete with screenshots convincing enough to fool many players. It also claimed Waluigi would have enhanced jumping and the Power Flower would give him a faster running ability. A few days later, the picture was revealed as an April Fool's Day joke, and it turned out that the Purple Rabbit was simply beta content. But the hoax will live in infamy, and Waluigi still has yet to be playable in a mainline Mario game. Pikablu. We already talked about Mew, but fans back then believed that Pokemon Red and Blue had secret Pokemon outside of the main 151, and I can't really blame them for thinking this. There were a few appearances of new Pokemon that weren't in those original games, which we now know as Ho-Oh and Togepi. It was believed that these Pokemon were part of a rumored group of Pokemon called Pokegods by fan sites, extra Pokemon past the original 151. Pikablu was believed to be one of these Pokegods. It was difficult to find sources about the origins of the Pikablu rumor, but supposedly this artwork was shown off at Space World 97, showing a pink mouse Pokemon. Rumors increased due to a dialogue error in Pokemon Red and Blue. In the Cinnabar laboratory, there is an optional in-game trade with an NPC, which requires you to trade them a Raichu. Upon giving them Raichu, they will say, quote, "The Raichu you traded me went and evolved." The reason this happens is because this trade in Red and Blue was taken from the Japanese versions, Pocket Monsters Red and Green, while the text was translated from the Japanese revision, Pocket Monsters Blue, in which the Pokemon traded was a Kadabra, which does evolve when traded. This led people to believe that Raichu would evolve into Pikablu. However, rumors died down once more information about the upcoming games, Pokemon Gold and Silver, came out, helping most realize that most of the rumored Pokegods were actually just Pokemon that would be in that game, and would die down even further once Pikachu's Vacation released and revealed the Pokemon was simply named Meryl. Mossdeep rocket launches. This one fooled me as a kid. Well, okay, I think I just wanted to believe it. In Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, Mossdeep City had a very strange urban myth regarding the Mossdeep Space Center. It revolved around two elements. One was the mysterious white rock, which the NPC next to it says was placed here as a wish for the safety of the rockets. Notably, she mentions using a wish tag, which are usually associated with Jirachi, likely further increasing rumors. The other element, the one I heard as a kid, surrounded one of the NPCs inside the Space Center. He will tell you the amount of successful launches the rockets have had, and it was believed that if he said there were 100 successful launches, then you could fly on a rocket into space to find Pokemon like Deoxys and or Jirachi. However, it turns out that the amount of successful launches actually just correlates with the amount of weeks that pass since your save file was created, and of course, the player cannot travel into space. But, fast forward to the 3DS remakes, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, spoiler warning by the way, but in the Delta episode, the player actually does fly into space and battles Deoxys, so in a way, this rumor became true. Bill's Secret Garden. Another Pokemon myth. There were a lot of Pokemon rumors back in the day. With this one, we are once again returning to Pokemon Red and Blue. Near Cerulean City, there is a character named Bill who manages the PC system. Many players notice this empty space behind Bill's house. You'd probably just see this as an unremarkable detail, but many fans believed this was a secret area where the player could find rare Pokemon. I think a large part of why people believe this is that Bill in-game is described as a Pokemaniac who loves collecting rare Pokemon. This, combined with the empty space behind his house, led many to believe that somehow they could gain access to the secret area. Multiple accounts of rumors that I found require the player to have specific Pokemon in their party when talking to Bill, such as the Evolutions in Dragonite, or the legendary birds in the entire Dratini line. Many believed Pokegods could be found in this garden, such as the aforementioned Pikablu, Togepi, Mew, or some other rare Pokemon like the other starters. Of course, people eventually tried using Game Shark or glitches to get behind Bill's house, only to discover that walking back there does nothing and walking farther just crashes the game. Sonic characters in Melee. After Sega stopped making consoles, many of their Sonic games jumped onto the GameCube and became super popular, so it was natural for people to want him in Nintendo's main fighting series, and rumors spread that Sonic the Hedgehog characters could be unlocked in Super Smash Bros. Melee. These rumors mainly spawned from the April 2002 issue of Electronic Gaming Monthly, which had a Super Smash Bros. Melee section with tips and tricks on the game. The first and most notable one stood out to players in particular: play as Sonic or Tails. The magazine claimed that you had to get a high score of 20 KOs in Cruel Melee, but if you were paying attention, you may have noticed the issue came out in April. Yup, it was an April Fool's Day joke. What makes it even funnier is the fact that everything else in this section is actually true, which adds to the supposed legitimacy of this first tip. These rumors spread enough that the Smash Bros. Website FAQ had to explain that Sonic and Knuckles were not in the game. But hey, I guess they never said anything about Tails! But no, he's not in the game either. But at least Sonic has been a Smash staple since Brawl. Wake Up Pokemon with Mike. There was another Pokemon rumor I fell for as a kid. It was said that if your Pokemon was asleep, they could be woken up by yelling, "Wake up!" in Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. I even tried it as a kid, but no matter what I did, it wouldn't work. Before you make fun of kid me for being stupid, to be fair, a lot of DS games love to incorporate touchscreen and microphone gimmicks. Pokemon Diamond and Pearl already used various DS gimmicks like the touchscreen and, yes, even the microphone, which can be used to record Chatot's cry. There were other rumors that you could yell "snap" to snap your Pokemon out of its confusion, but of course both rumors were fake. You know it's not fake: the fact that in Diamond and Pearl, Pokemon appear less on September 11th. No, actually. Shoot Duck Hunt Dog. Duck Hunt is an iconic game often bundled with the Nintendo Entertainment System that used the NES Zapper to let you shoot at ducks. But there was one universally hated element of the game, and shockingly it wasn't the animal abuse, but rather not being able to abuse one specific animal, the dog. When you miss a shot, the dog will laugh, pissing off an entire generation of players. And everyone tried to shoot him, don't lie, you did too. But it would never work. He would just descend back into the grass and you would continue to shoot at ducks. For years, it was believed you couldn't shoot the dog. Well, can you? Yes and no. In the NES version, yeah, you can't shoot the dog. However, Nintendo made harder arcade versions of many of their home games, usually with the Versus prefix. One of these was Versus Duck Hunt, and if you make it to the bonus round, the dog will hop around, and if you fire at him, you can shoot him, to which he will vanish into the grass, only to emerge with a damaged face, crutches, and a cast, exclaiming, "Ouch, shoot the ducks, not me," ending the bonus round. So if you ever wanted to get your revenge on the annoying dog from Duck Hunt, play the arcade version. Or just fight him in Smash Brothers. Purple Yoshi. Another missing purple character. Purple Yoshi was one of the Yoshis from Yoshi's Island, but seemed to be missing from Yoshi's story. Was it hidden in the game somewhere? There were a few pieces of evidence pointing to this. One of the Yoshis in the opening cutscene was purple, suggesting that he could be elsewhere in the game. In addition, beta footage of the game, back when the game was called Yoshi's Island 64, showed off a brief glimpse of the Yoshi selection screen, which showed that the purple Yoshi was supposed to be selectable. Plus, there were unlockable Yoshis in the game, the black and white Yoshis. But unfortunately, those are the only unlockable Yoshis in the game, so if you want to play as Purple Yoshi, you still gotta pop in Yoshi's Island. You are Mr. Gay. Okay, so this is an interesting one. Super Mario Galaxy is an incredible game, and its box art reflects that with a beautiful shot of Mario flying through space, and a cool space logo with sparkles around the letters. I don't know who was bored enough to notice this, but people started saying that if you took the letters with sparkles next to them, it would spell out, "You are Mr. Gay." Naturally, as a kid, I had to check to see if it was real, and, well, yeah. Now I know what you're thinking, it's obviously just an aesthetic choice and was definitely not intentional. Well, let's look at the sequel. Super Mario Galaxy 2's box art sparkles seem to spell out "You're my yay," which seems to not mean anything. So that's proof, it was all a coincidence, right? But funnily enough, people realized if you spelled it backwards, it would be "Yeah, I'm, are you?" which many interpreted as "Yeah, I am, are you?" So if you took both games and put them together, it would be "You are Mr. Gay. Yeah, I am, are you?" It's so weird, cause there's no way it was intended, right? But the coincidence that both games' supposed subliminal messages connect to each other is crazy. And after nearly 19 years, this whole rumor got started up all over again with the Super Mario Galaxy movie, which also has sparkles in its logo. The sparkles spell out "He Mr. Gay," which seems more of like a stretch. Was any of this intentional? We'll probably never know, but I know one thing. It's really funny. Dragonite evolves into Yoshi. I'm sorry there are so many entries related to Pokemon Red and Blue. There are just so many rumors and hoaxes spread around about these games back when they were super popular, including, yes, Dragonite being able to evolve into Yoshi from Super Mario. This information was mainly spread from a magazine called Expert Gamer in their April 1999 issue. On page 46, which was mainly dedicated to cheat codes, they had a special section dedicated to a supposed hidden Yoshi in Pokemon Red and Blue, written in by J. Esther. The steps were as follows. 1. Traded Dratini from Pokemon Red to Pokemon Blue. 2. In Blue, evolve the Dratini into Dragonite, then trade it back to Red. 3. Bring Dragonite with you into Cerulean Cave and surf to where Mewtwo was. 4. Take a Firestone and use it on the Dragonite, despite the game saying it's not available. The screen will glitch and the Dragonite will evolve into Yoshi. Yoshi will keep Dragonite's stats, but will display its picture as Yoshi, with its Pokedex number as 999. If you were paying attention, you may have noticed that not only was it the April issue, but the name of the user that was sent in, J. Esther or Jester, because it's all a joke. Yeah, this was nothing more than an April Fool's Day prank sprinkled in the magazine. Laser Suit Super Mario World. As a kid, I had Super Mario Advance 2 Super Mario World for the Game Boy Advance. I loved this game and all of its secrets, including the top secret area, which allowed you to easily get all of the main power-ups in the game. But in 2006, a mysterious video emerged on YouTube showing someone getting a secret power-up. The video shows Mario going to the top secret area and entering a warp pipe hidden in the question blocks on the right that lead to a secret exit. A new area appears on the map with 3 question marks. Upon going to it, the player finds a message from Nintendo congratulating them on finding the laser suit, and Mario powers up. The video ends by showing off the laser suit's abilities, which seems to just be the cape with the ability to shoot lasers. Honestly, the secret pipe makes no sense even by Mario logic, and the laser suit looks like it was made for a DeviantArt OC, but the video was well made enough that it convinced a lot of people, including child me, that it was in the game. And I tried jumping into those blocks over and over, but nothing ever happened except giving Mario a concussion. Obviously, it turned out it was based on a ROM hack made by a user named K Phoenix. I don't take videos like this at face value anymore, but it was fun to believe in at the time. Chocolate Factory. Chocolate? Did you say chocolate? Yes. This is a rumor for the original Super Mario Bros. That said there was a secret chocolate factory level. This sounds pretty silly considering overworld, cave, water, castle, Willy Wonka. But hey, the arcade Donkey Kong game had a level that many people call the Pie Factory, though it's actually a cement factory. So I could imagine people thinking that, hey, Donkey Kong had a pie factory, why wouldn't Mario have a chocolate factory? The origin of this rumor seems to be from a section from How to Win at Nintendo Games number 4 by Jeff Rovin. This is a book from a series of books giving various tips on how to beat various NES games. Page 230 mentions a tip sent in by a reader who said they heard rumors of a chocolate factory level. I saw an old GameFAQs forum that said the rumor also appeared in GamePro magazine, but I couldn't find any more information about that or if that was true. Obviously, there is no chocolate factory in the game, but then the mystery remained of where this rumor came from. The obvious answer is that a kid wrote in and relayed information they heard from some kid on the playground, but many people believe it was a copyright trap, which is basically when you deliberately put something distinct in your work in order to catch others when they use it. So if another book mentioned a chocolate factory being in Super Mario Bros., Rovin would know that they stole it from his book. This is all just speculation, but hey, Nintendo, not too late to put a chocolate factory in Mario Odyssey 2. It's never gonna happen, is it? Melee credits. Super Smash Bros. Melee has a minigame during the credits where you can shoot at the names of the developers, although it's incredibly difficult to shoot at all of them. Because of this, people always wondered if you would get a reward if you shot all of them. The common rumor was that if you shot them all, you would unlock Toad as a playable character. An old website called Death Star showed various rumored screenshots of Toad in Super Smash Bros., including his unlocked message which said, "Toad's awesome speed is now yours to command," referencing his running speed in Super Mario Bros. 2. But even back then, the same site was able to debunk the rumor by noticing that the unlock message was mashed together using other letters in the game, and also noticing that the poses were taken from the game's adventure mode, in which Toad appears as a background character. The official Smash Bros. Website's FAQ directly states that there is no reward for shooting a certain amount of names in the credits, likely as a response to rumors. As a kid, I believe I heard a rumor from a YouTuber, no clue who, the memory is fuzzy, but I swear that he said that if you shot all the credits you would get a Mario hat in the mail, which makes even less sense than unlocking Toad, because like how would they even know you did that? I guess you could capture footage, but wouldn't Nintendo have made that like a Nintendo Power Contest or something? A player named Martin Zarate actually managed to be the first person on record to shoot all the credits in 2021, but hey, they didn't show any gameplay afterwards, so maybe he did unlock Toad. Mario Party Anti-Piracy. Anti-piracy is super interesting to me. An anti-piracy measure is basically when a developer adds something to their game to prevent or punish people who try to pirate their game. In 2020, there wasn't anything better to do, so it became a huge trend to post anti-piracy screens, though usually they were much scarier than anything these developers would realistically put in. Part of what kickstarted this trend is the Mario Party DS anti-piracy screen, posted by Joey Puleroni on YouTube. The video shows the game running until error screens suddenly pop up. The game cuts to the anti-piracy screen. It states that piracy is no party, as well as all the usual anti-piracy text about how piracy is a crime and how you should power off the system and all that. But more notably, it has a picture of Mario and friends in a cage, or more likely it's you, in jail, complete with ominous music. While this video seems like it could be real at first glance, later videos up the ante, with events designed to kill the player, your DS calling the police, and a secret impossible boss fight complete with its own music. Of course, these were all just really well-made fictional videos, and Mario Party DS doesn't even contain any anti-piracy measures. Unfortunately, people who thought these videos were real started trying to add these onto the Cutting Room Floor website, much to the annoyance of writers on the site. The rumor may have been false, but it gave many a fun mystery to solve during a dark time. Missingno and X and Y. Pokemon X and Y had many nods to Generation 1, but none were as interesting as the rumored Missingno making its return. It was said that in the doorway to Boutique Couture, if you looked closely, you could see the silhouette of Missingno. After all this time of hearing about it, I had to see it for myself. I loaded up Pokemon Y on my 3DS, flew to Lumio City, and took a taxi to get to Boutique Couture, and guess what? It's real. But the question was it intentionally put there by Game Freak as a creepy Easter egg hinting at something more sinister? Or was it simply a glitch? After all, Lumio City does have some creepy secrets, so it's not like it was impossible. The YouTuber She Says, who has a series called Boundary Break, where he freely controls the camera, made an episode about Pokemon X and Y. To solve the mystery about Missingno, he moved the camera below the floor, and it turns out that Missingno silhouette was actually just fog coming from a doorway in a different part of the city. Turns out it was just a glitch all along. Wait a minute, maybe that proves it is Missingno. Hunter Ghost. Luigi's Mansion is a super lovable adventure game, and a big part of that is because of the memorable portrait ghost encounters. But what if there was a secret portrait ghost? In October 2001, Nintendo Power Magazine had a special section dedicated to promoting Luigi's Mansion, and they showed off screenshots of various rooms in the game. One of these was the Safari Room. The magazine had text for the screenshot that said, quote, "If you meet up with the ghost of a hunter, he'll want to add Luigi to his collection," end quote. I'm sure there were many players who spent hours searching for the hunter only to never find him. I even found someone on Reddit who misremembered fighting him, and even made a 3D model based on his memories. However, the main rumor was that he was a cut ghost in the game. In his Let's Play of the game, the YouTuber Sugar Convoy heard that supposedly the ghost was supposed to have a rifle and would say that he would mount your head on his wall as a trophy. However, there were a few main problems with these rumors. First off, there is no evidence of a cut model for a hunter or anything that resembles a hunter, at least based on the evidence from the cutting room floor. Secondly, by the time that Nintendo Power issue had come out, Luigi's Mansion was already out in Japan, so it would seem likely that they would have access to the final version of the game by that point. So the common consensus nowadays seems to be that Nintendo Power meant it as nothing more than a joke or flavor text. But who knows, maybe the Safari Ghost is in there somewhere, haunting the game disc. Ooh. Playable Master Hand. Master Hand is an iconic and powerful boss in the Super Smash Bros. Series, which has led many to want to play as him. Many rumors and hoaxes online were created as to how to unlock Master Hand in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, though usually these videos would end in a rickroll or they'd be a screamer video designed to scare you. I would know because I was tricked by one of them as a kid. It was similar to this one, where it had a static image, but mine was followed by a creepy face or something like that. I had a hard time sleeping that night. However, it is actually possible to play as Master Hand in Super Smash Bros. Melee using a glitch. Also, spoilers for Smash Ultimate, you officially get to play as Master Hand in the World of Light mode. You have no life. In the Noki Bay mission Red Coins in a Bottle, Mario gets shrunk down to fit inside a bottle to fish for red coins using his scuba gear. But there is a mysterious secret that has puzzled players for many years. At the bottom, there is a structure which Mario can fit into which has a locked door. It cannot be opened in any way, but if the player clips the camera through the door to see what's behind it, they will see a mysterious book. Naturally, people wondered why the book was placed there, and if there was a way to grab it. What I always heard was that it was based on a cut mission where the player was to retrieve the book. This is definitely possible. Mario Sunshine did have quite a lot of unused content after all. However, in the final game, the book isn't even its own object, with both it and the door being part of the level geometry, making it unlikely that it was meant to have its own mission. But the namesake of this entry is a rather funny rumor that in Japanese, the book contained a message that said, quote, "You have no life, signed Shigeru Miyamoto," end quote. Damn Miyamoto, I just wanted to know what was in the book. This is of course untrue, but it is pretty dang funny. But why the book was placed there at all remains a mystery to this very day. Mario Kills Toads. In 2013, MapPad of game theory fame released a two-parter series called Why Mario is Mental. They're iconic videos, and while I think people took them way too seriously, they were clearly made in good fun. But one of the points that he made raised a lot of eyebrows, that regarding this section on page 2 of the Super Mario Bros. Instruction manual. Quote, "The quiet, peace-loving mushroom people were turned into mere stones, bricks, and even horsehair plants, and the Mushroom Kingdom fell into ruin," end quote. He and many others use this as evidence that the brick blocks you can break in this game are toads, and Mario is murdering them every time he breaks them. This rumor spread like wildfire, and I'm sure there are still some who stand by it to this day, and to be honest, I believed it when I was younger. However, there is one part of the instruction manual that this rumor conveniently ignores. Page 8 teaches the player about the power-ups in the game and says, quote, "If you come across mushrooms who have been turned into bricks or made invisible, they reward you by giving you a power boost," end quote. This indicates that only the question blocks and invisible blocks are toads, which cannot be broken in the first game, thus proving that Mario does not, in fact, kill toads. Wario Apparition. In 2020, we were all bored from being stuck indoors. So bored that people created the pioneer of iceberg charts, the Super Mario 64 iceberg chart. This was a bit different than modern iceberg charts because while it started off with simple facts and mysteries surrounding Super Mario 64, it progressively gets creepier and starts basically becoming a creepypasta. One of the creepier mysteries is the Wario Apparition, which had many videos made about it, including this one titled "Every Copy of Mario 64 is Personalized," which was basically an unsettling rumor that Super Mario 64 changed the experience to suit individual players. This video shows supposed beta footage of Super Mario 64 on a CRT and shows a floating Wario head creepily chasing down Mario. I'm not sure how many people actually believed this, but I can at least confirm that it has since been disproven, with people finding the original source of the Wario head. It turns out that the floating Wario head is actually from a silly animation shown by Nintendo at E3 1996.
You want fun? Wario show you fun.
So, yeah, it turns out the Wario head wasn't in the game after all. And obviously, no, the N64 did not have the technology needed to generate a personalized experience for every player. Unless he's in your copy. Luigi's Death. Luigi's Mansion is far from a dark game, but it is pretty spooky for a Mario game. But there was one rumor in particular that was always really chilling. That Luigi is dead in Luigi's Mansion. Sounds ridiculous, you say. Well, take a look at this. In the telephone room, Luigi can answer a call from the telephone. When he does, if you look at the wall, when the lightning strikes, Luigi's shadow can be seen hanging in the air, implying that Luigi is dead. It's a genuinely chilling image. This led some to believe that Luigi has been dead throughout the entire game. Another rumor was that this was a leftover from the beta, which was believed by many to have been darker than the final game. But of course, the most likely explanation is simply that it was a glitch with the lighting engine caused by the camera moving closer to Luigi, thus pushing up his shadow. And since the glitch didn't appear in the 3DS port, I think it's fair to say that Luigi is safe and sound. Brutus. A lot of this information comes from L Supersonic Q's videos on the subject. Brutus the Bulldog was a mysterious rumored villager in Animal Crossing for the GameCube, though he sometimes was given other names like Rufus. Brutus was said to not be like your normal villager. He would visit your village for one day, during which time he would chop down all of your trees. He would send you mysterious letters in binary code. He would have a house that would crash the game upon you entering. He could kidnap your fellow villagers. And if you were brave enough to talk to him, he would destroy your save file. The original alleged screenshot of him has been lost, although Sugar Convoy found this alleged screenshot and sent it to L Supersonic Q. Some of the earliest sources talking about Brutus were in an old MSN group called Animal Crossing the Fans Club. Of course, there's no evidence of him being in the game, but if you hear the train coming in the dead of night, maybe it's a sign that Brutus has joined your town. Lavender Town Syndrome. We all know about the creepy, haunted Lavender Town from Pokemon, but it was said that in the Japanese Pocket Monsters Red and Green, the music was higher pitched in a certain tone which would cause terrible effects in children aged 7 to 12, such as nausea, bleeding, mood swings, headaches, and most notably, the urge to off oneself. Game Freak had an internal report that told of various kids affected by the song. It was believed that over 200 children were lost because of the song. There were more rumors that claimed that if you looked at the audio waves, it would show Unknown spelling out "Leave Now," further adding to the mystery, especially since Unknown weren't introduced until Gen 2. This was widely believed when it came out, and it haunted me as a kid, and I was genuinely scared I would lose a classmate to it, who I mistakenly believed had Pocket Monsters Green. As far as I can find, Lavender Town is the same song in Red and Green as it is in Red and Blue, and I've heard the great point that the news absolutely would have reported on the story of a video game being dangerous to children. But I can understand why people believed in it to some extent. If the Pokemon anime was able to put kids in the hospital, then why would a game be any different? I have granted kids to hell. WarioWare is known as a very lighthearted and funny series about playing microgames one after the other in quick succession. But there was a rumor going around about a subliminal message hidden in the game WarioWare Touched with an eerie, almost demonic message. The rumor stated that the player needs to have unlocked the turntable in the toy room, start playing with the turntable and select Ashley's song. Fast forward the song by rotating the record quickly with the stylus and you'll hear Ashley say, "I have granted kids to hell." And here's the weirdest part. It's true.
Who has time for girly things like that? I've granted kids to hell.
Nintendo Power magazine received numerous letters about the message, which they claimed was merely a coincidence due to the sped-up song skipping past words. This seems to be the most common explanation, with these being the pieces of the words that play, giving the illusion of a hidden message. It's most likely nothing more than an illusion, but who knows? Maybe Ashley is a more sinister character than we thought. Adeline. Tomodachi Life is a wonderful life sim with a great sense of humor. Players of the 3DS title started wondering if something darker lurked beneath the surface. That isn't too surprising. Some of the dreams in the game were creepy and the dialogue upon deleting your save file was genuinely haunting. But one rumor revolved around a song nicknamed Adeline, which is the song playing right now. It only appears in the Japanese version, so people wondered when it played. An urban myth about the game began spreading that said in the Japanese version, this song would play when a Mii had a miscarriage. The game does feature children being born, but would Nintendo go so far as to add these heavy themes into the game? I mean, sure, this game has divorce, but a miscarriage? Many people associate this ominous image of a crossed out Mii with the myth. However, this is actually the frightening result of forgetting to import Mii data when emulating the game. By looking through the cutting room floor page for Tomodachi Life, specifically the regional differences page, we can see many changes made to the game in its various localizations. However, there is no information on Adeline nor any possible miscarriage cutscene or dialogue. We can find the song on YouTube, but if we really want definitive proof as to the true nature of the song, then we can check the official Nintendo Music app. This app has various Nintendo soundtracks, including tracks from all 3 Tomodachi games. If we go to Tomodachi Life soundtrack and scroll down, we can find tracks for the compatibility tester. In-game, the compatibility tester tests how compatible your Miis are, with different songs playing based on the compatibility. But if we scroll down the track titled Compatibility Tester Barely Buddies, we will find the fabled Adeline track. Yes, it turns out that the sadness in this song is just for showing how incompatible 2 of your Miis are as friends. These piano tracks were only used in the Japanese version for some reason. The only odd thing about this whole situation is I can't find any trace of discussion around Adeline pre-2020. There's not much discussion in general really outside of Smashing Tomatoes' YouTube video about it and comments on the YouTube upload of this song. But maybe that only adds to the mysterious nature of this myth. And that's the end of the Urban Myth and Hoaxes Iceberg. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, consider liking and subscribing. Some of the myths spooked even me, but hey, it's not like any of them were real.